So this year I actually played a lot of games that came out this year for once. I also 100%ed the awesome P collection for the PlayStation Vita, just for metric. So, as every lonely individual on this rotting platform does, why not talk about my top games I played this year, and accidentally create a standard for the future I will fail to satisfy exactly a year from now? Monster Hunter Rise might be one of my favorite games in the past decade. It's absolutely amazing, fighting massive enemies and dominating huge beasts for the sake of improving yourself. Combat feels so fluid, especially in comparison to past entries like Generations Ultimate or Freedom Unite, with attacks flowing into each other so much better than ever before. There's a huge arsenal of weapons that complement all sorts of playstyles. Armor perks that support different roles and weapon types. And each and every one is a ton of fun in their own right. Each weapon is a challenge to master, learning the combos, understanding their mechanics, maximizing your damage, and learning where to focus a monster on. Rise also has this massive improvement with environmental interactions, largely aided by the implementation of wire bugs, which, come on. Grapple hook mechanics make any game better. You can climb walls, jump off of them, and drop on enemies. You can whip around to dodge charges and attacks. The game is so fluid now, with seemingly endless combinations of movement blended into the wire bug attacks, making the combat so much more exciting and complex to learn. Just like World, there's no more loading zones, and with the implementation of wire bugs, there's a smoother implementation of verticality to maps and zones to explore. The new monster designs are menacing, and returning monsters are no less of an epic to fight. But Monster Hunter Rise didn't come out this year. It came out last year. So what did come out this year? Monster Hunter Rise Sunbreak. Sunbreak serves as an expansion to Rise, increasing that ceiling to improve with the implementation of Master Rank monsters and quests. A new storyline, new monsters, it does a fantastic job to give Monster Hunter fans more of what they want. Master Rank equipment improves that much more, and the final boss is a ton of fun to play. My only gripe with Rise and Sunbreak is how many returning monsters they have brought with simple coats of paint over them. It's a bit underwhelming, but it's a small complaint in comparison to how big of a game Sunbreak turns Rise into, with so much content to chase after, anomaly quests, new event quests, new armor sets, and builds to work around, and more. Atlus almost always delivers bangers nowadays, despite almost completely focusing on Persona or Shin Megami Tensei, and 13 Sentinels Aegis Rim is no different. The game depicts an epic Pacific Rim reminiscent story about an alien invasion, coinciding with a really satisfying art style, and the game's tactical combat, while not too unique or strategic, is still a ton of fun. 13 Sentinels Aegis Rim's story is without a doubt cliché and tropey, and can get hard to follow, yet it amalgamates into itself, with character storylines looping in and out of others. The combat is of course great too. Each character's Sentinel has its own setup of tools to pick from, and choosing turns in a more action-oriented system instead of being turn-based keeps you on your toes. It's definitely one of the very few strategy games I can honestly say I enjoyed playing without being bored miserably out of my mind. The easiest way to get a headache is to watch someone play Taiko no Tatsujin with drums, but the game itself is actually pretty fun. Taiko no Tatsujin Rhythm Festival is a fantastic yet classic example of a rhythm game. Releasing this year, it's fairly simple in design, but it is a ton of fun to learn. It's simple to learn but hard to master, with only 2 buttons necessary to play. However, the game can also completely kick my ass inside it out. Also, this game is Megalovania, so you know it's banger as hell. Splatoon 3 is undefeated on the Switch as one of the best shooters on the platform, and while the competition is scarce, it really isn't without reason either. The game solves the issue of poor aiming skills by just having to aim in the general direction of remotely anything. While Splatoon 3 is debatable as a sequel, it really improves the entire experience. Shit. The campaign is fantastic, it tells a solid story, and implements these really cool puzzle mechanics that make each level really satisfying to complete. It's styled a lot like Octo Expansion, with levels built around these challenges and options offered for different equipment to offer better rewards for a higher difficulty. The multiplayer is always the focus of Splatoon, and as expected, it's fun as always, with more weapons feeling better and better than ever. Specials are fresh and exciting, but people still seem to sweat their balls off in multiplayer, and I hate every single living individual who uses the Aerospray. I hope they all stub their toes indefinitely. Salmon Run is also far better improved, with bosses like the King Salmonid, an improved reward system, and with Big Run, Splatoon 3 is irrefutably an improvement on top of the already fantastic Splatoon 2. Good game. Big Man is also the best character ever written, period. Easily, the game that went hardest this year for me had to be Elden Ring. I know this game has gotten the shit complimented out of it, but seriously, come on now, just look at it. Elden Ring might be one of my absolute favorite games of this generation, and I keep forgetting it even came out this year. Every battle is this epic scenario against an unstoppable opponent. The world is massive, and there's secrets, mini-dungeons, bosses, items, and equipment scattered absolutely everywhere. No battle is treated to be underwhelming, and each battle feeds into the fear and dread of a new encounter. Elden Ring has to be one of the most difficult games I've ever completed. Radahn absolutely kicked my ass, and I barely even attempted Millennia's fight. It was just way too tough. The game also has this subtle but incredible inspiration from Berserk, and feels like a massive celebration to the works of Kentaro Miura that were so heavily influential on the worlds From Software has created, especially with the Souls games. Elden Ring is so free in its design, its world, the ability to craft your character as you want, and despite its welcoming nature to players unfamiliar with From Software's past releases, it refuses to pull punches to keep that signature difficulty that's tough as nails, but undeniably fair. Whenever you die, you never feel like something was unfair or wrong. You died on your own accord, and it's your responsibility to improve and overcome that challenge. It's inarguably a timeless masterpiece among timeless masterpieces, and seeing the game get an update just recently to support improved PvP experiences makes me really hope the game gets DLC just like the past Souls games have.